This is it. The doors to my signature podcasting program, the Podcast Lab, are closing soon. If you've been thinking about launching your very own podcast, this is your final chance to join me inside. Head to teachmetopodcast.com. Inside of the Podcast Lab, I have distilled everything I've learned from building a Forbes top-rated and Apple Podcast chart-topping show into a streamlined 5-step process that helps you plan, produce, publish, promote, and profit from your own podcast in just 30 days. Inside of the Podcast Lab, you'll follow my exact blueprint through 5 actionable modules. Plus, you'll get exclusive bonuses like email templates, episode checklists, and social media strategies to amplify your show's reach, all designed to make your podcasting journey as simple and profitable as possible. Your audience, your story, and your dream guests are ready, but time is running out. Do not let this chance slip away. Head to teachmetopodcast.com to secure your spot in the Podcast Lab. That's teachmetopodcast.com. I'll see you inside. When you do affiliate marketing, and if you're an affiliate for 5 or 10 products, they all have different portals. They all have different systems. And so having a place where you treat it like a business and you have it organized, that's where I would invest. I'm Jenna Kutcher, your host of the Goal Digger Podcast. I escaped the corporate world at the age of 23 with nothing more than a $300 camera from Craigslist and a dream. Now I'm running a 7-figure online business that feels even better than it looks, all from my house in small town Minnesota with my family. Here, we value time as our currency. We mix the woo and the work, and we are in the pursuit of building businesses that give us the freedom to live lives that we love. I've always loved turning big goals into reality, and I'm here to help you do the same. This isn't just a peek behind the curtain. Come along with me and my guests as we tear the whole curtain down. Every week, we tackle practical, no-fluff marketing strategies and host honest discussions on what works and what doesn't. Join me and my expert guests for actionable insights to help you grow your dream business with confidence. Pull up a seat and get ready to be challenged, inspired, and empowered. This is the Goal Digger Podcast. I'm not going to lie. I wish that we had like a cute little jingle for these episodes because they feel special. They are special. Today is an Ask Me Anything episode. I asked what you're curious about on the Goal Digger Podcast Instagram page and in our Facebook community that is 60,000 listeners strong. And boy, did you deliver. So if you've ever wondered how I, quote, balance it all, what's currently working to manage my ADHD, if blogging is dead, and so much more, then this episode is for you. Now, between Instagram and Facebook, we have hundreds of thousands of business owners and dreamers and doers and goal diggers just like you. And we'd love for you to jump in with us. Both of these places are so fun and totally free ways to network with other podcast listeners and business owners, get advice, connect with your peers, and ask your biggest questions. This is also how we choose who comes on the podcast for our coaching episodes. So make sure you join us on Instagram at Goal Digger Podcast and join our Facebook community at the link in the show notes and in the episode description, easily waiting for you to dive on in. And without further ado, let's dive on into your biggest questions. With smaller budgets, shorter timelines, and sky-high expectations, growth is feeling really painful right now. But HubSpot is here to help. They just announced more than 150 major product updates that'll make impossible business growth feel impossibly easy. Like Breeze, HubSpot's suite of new AI tools that'll help you say goodbye to busy work and hello to better work. There's Breeze Copilot, a sidekick to assist with all your tasks and boost productivity. Breeze Agents to automate manual time-consuming work and add expertise. And Breeze Intelligence to give you the richest, most comprehensive picture of your prospects, so you know which are most likely to become loyal customers. They've also reimagined their marketing and content hubs with new ways to create breakthrough content, updated features to generate better leads, and lots more to uplevel your marketing and your revenue forecast. Get ready for growth without the growing pains. Visit HubSpot.com/spotlight to see them all and demo for yourself. That's HubSpot.com/spotlight. All right, I've got my coffee and I feel like I need to buckle up when I dive into these episodes. So we're going to go right off the deep end with a question from Meg Bronco on Instagram. And she is asking about online courses. Now, all of last month, we were focused on online courses and I loved her question. It says, a course with a lot of modules at a higher price point, or a lot of smaller courses at lower price points? So this is an interesting question, and I think it's something to ponder regardless of what type of business you're in, is if you want to do a high price point business with a lower volume or a lower price point offer with a higher volume. And I actually did an entire podcast episode about this. I'm linking it for you in today's description. And this is where I can help you decide which route is better for you. So for me personally, right now, I love this more accessible, low price point, high volume route. I love helping beginners. Like what fires me up is entering in at the beginning stages of your business and helping you get the foundational tips, tools, and strategies to help you save time and energy and money. And so at this stage of my life, I am more focused on lower price point, higher volume. Now, there are a few different reasons. When you have a higher price point and you're serving fewer people, it usually means higher price point, higher touch. That means that you are more hands-on, you're more involved. And right now, with my daughters being so young, I want to be able to hand people the system and they are responsible for their results. And so for me, I love not only serving beginners, but I love that my online courses have given me the ability to reach you where you're at an accessible price point and for you to take the system and run with it. So no matter what type of business you're in, whether it's an online course one or not, consider the difference between if you want to have a higher touch, higher price point business where you serve less people, but at a higher level, or if you want to do the volume game where it's lower price point, higher volume. And there are pros and cons to each. I challenge you to go listen to the entire episode I did about this topic because I think it is super solid and it'll help you discern what is right in this stage of life. And let me tell you, it can totally change as your life and your business and your goals change. Okay, question number 2 is from Quincy. This question was asked in the Gold Digger Podcast Insiders group on Facebook. And Quincy asks, any tips or recommendations for managing the inevitable disinterest and downright avoidance that comes along with having ADHD? So I totally understand this. And the more that I learn about ADHD, because keep in mind, I was only diagnosed about 2 years ago. The more that I learn about it, the more that I feel like I am knowing myself on a whole different level. In fact, here's a really funny story. I follow a few different ADHD accounts now. And I was watching one that this girl had made a reel and it was just like things that make sense in my house as an ADHD person. And she got a laundry basket in her closet for clean clothes so that she could just, instead of having them pile up somewhere, she would put them in the basket. And then when she got the gust of energy to put everything away, she would do that. And I told my husband about that last night. And he's like, that makes no sense. But he is neurotypical. So like every single night he hangs his clothes back up. I like make a pile on our island. And I was like, you know what? It's going to help my brain. It's good. So all of this to say, I feel like I'm still so much learning about ADHD and how to manage it and what some of the tendencies are. But here are some of the things that I have been able to do because I totally understand the feeling of being disinterested or like avoiding things that feel super repetitive or that you don't want to do. So here are the strategies that I do. So first, I break things down. So even today, I have a super busy day. Like I have 10 different tasks that require a lot of effort on my part. And so I had to break down today into much smaller, manageable pieces and give myself breaks in between. So instead of tackling like the whole project at once, set mini goals that feel less overwhelming and give yourself little rewards along the way. I have found that like sitting for 30 minutes is like my maximum. And then I need to move around or change up where I am working or different things like that. Like on any given day, I might be working in like 20 different places in my house because I'm just constantly on the move. Another thing that is so helpful, and it's kind of funny because Coco just stole mine, but I got this timer. And this is kind of the Pomodoro technique where you can set a timer for 20, 25 minutes to focus on a task and then you take that break. I got this really cute little orange timer and now Coco stole it because she uses it for her quiet time in her bedroom. But I feel like it helps me stay focused. And one of the biggest things that helps on that is having my phone in the other room so that I do not get distracted. Another thing that's super interesting is creating a routine. And I'm going to talk about this a little later in this episode. There's a question about routines, but I used to be so resistant to routines because, again, with an ADHD brain, it feels too repetitive. It feels too boring. And so even if you are resistant to routines, they can help provide the structure and just make it so much easier for you to jump into tasks when you are not motivated. And then lastly, limit distractions. So again, get really good at identifying what are your biggest distractions and then do your best to minimize them during your work sessions. So again, putting your phone in the different room, having a dedicated workspace, like figure out what works best for you. And that has just been so helpful for me. A couple other things that I do is I like to habit stack. So if I have super repetitive tasks that just feel so mundane and boring, if I can habit stack during them, I am so much more likely to follow through on them and actually get them done. I was actually just learning a little bit about ADHD brains, and it was like, why people with ADHD love to like listen to podcasts when they're in the shower. Like showering feels so boring, but if I'm listening to a podcast, it's really interesting. And so it's just, again, figuring out ways to make the boring things a little bit more interesting or a little bit more palatable for your brain can be so helpful. Okay, let's be real. Why are we still overpaying for wireless? I know I've been guilty of it, but Mint Mobile is here to change the game. For just $15 a month on a 3-month premium plan, you can get unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data on the nation's largest 5G network. That's right, $15. You can even bring your own phone, keep your number, and all of your contacts. The switch is super easy and there's no need to start from scratch. You get to keep everything the same and just pay less, like way less. If you've been searching for a smarter, cheaper way to manage your phone bill, this is the sign you've been waiting for. No hidden fees, no surprises, just a great deal on wireless. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/goaldigger. That's mintmobile.com/goaldigger. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/goaldigger. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions. If you're serious about making connections that actually lead to results, LinkedIn is where it's at, especially if you're in the B2B world. With LinkedIn ads, you can get your business in front of the right people, like 180 million senior level executives and 10 million C-level execs. It's like the ultimate business network, but way more targeted and with fewer distractions. On other platforms, it can feel like you're shouting into the wind, but with LinkedIn ads, you're building real relationships with the right people, and that's where the magic happens. 79% of B2B marketers agree that LinkedIn is their number one for paid media, and it's easy to see why. LinkedIn gives you tools to drive real results, and with 2 to 5 times higher return on ad spend, it just makes sense. So if you want to build meaningful relationships, start making smarter moves with your marketing, and grow your business, it is time to get LinkedIn ads working for you. Make B2B marketing everything it can be and get $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/goal to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/GOAL. Terms and conditions apply. Okay. The next question is from MJ Murphy, and it says, what is your greatest advice for attempting sobriety? So I have been alcohol-free for over 2 years now. I have not even had a sip of alcohol. One thing that I should note about my personality is that I am naturally just a very all or nothing person, and that works the best for me. I don't actually have anything against alcohol, but I feel really strongly that being alcohol-free has just been really great for me. I don't know if I'll be alcohol-free for the rest of my life, but right now I have zero plans to bring drinking back into it. So a few things that have been really helpful for me. So changing your language. So instead of just saying like, I'm not drinking tonight, adopt the identity of someone that says, I don't drink. When you say it in that way versus I'm not going to drink tonight, when you say I'm not going to drink tonight, you're definitely leaving the door open of like, I do drink, but just not tonight, where people might pressure you versus I don't drink. That feels so much more certain. You feel confident in that choice. I also have just found that when it comes to social settings, which I think give people a lot of anxiety if you are going from someone who does drink to being alcohol free, is being really clear from the jump of like, I'm not drinking tonight. And this is like a non-negotiable. And you don't have to be rude about it. You just have to express it with clarity. And then you being responsible for getting something in your own hand so that somebody else doesn't buy you something or get something in your hand that you don't want. So like, I love a good mocktail. And honestly speaking, when Drew and I go on date nights, a lot of places, even in Duluth, Minnesota, have great mocktails, or I just get water. But having something in your hand where you are responsible for it can alleviate that concern of what people think. But here's what I found. People that love you, they're going to support you. Like if you feel better not drinking, and usually if people are pressuring you, it is generally a reflection of them feeling some type of way about their own drinking behavior. Not saying they feel bad or guilty, but just that they feel weird that you're not drinking. It's interesting that like alcohol is the one thing that people pressure you to do. Another thing that I think is super helpful when it comes to attempting sobriety or going alcohol free is just to have like a certain number of days. So you can say like, I'm not drinking for the next month. And again, it just gives more certainty. So the more clarity you have around your choice to be alcohol free, the more people respect it and the more that you feel certain and confident in it. I've really loved my journey with it. And it's really interesting because I just feel like there are a lot of women, especially who are kind of moving in that direction. And so I encourage you, if it's something you're curious about, to just try it even for 30 days and you'll see what happens. Okay. Scranton12 on Instagram asked, of all social platforms, which one is more engaging with potential online customers? So I think this is a great question. And when it comes to engaging with your potential online customers, I will tell you this, and you're not going to love the answer. It's really dependent on where your audience hangs out. So I can't say like for sure go on TikTok or Pinterest or Instagram or Facebook. I don't know what your business is, but that doesn't even matter because it's you figuring out like where is your audience and how do you want to engage with them? For me personally, it's on Instagram, and that's naturally where I like to spend time and hang out. Like that's where I like to consume content. That's where I like to engage. But I think that the bigger question that wasn't asked here that we should be asking is not just which platform is most engaging, but how do I get a direct result from the engagement on any platform? And again, I have said this on the podcast, but I'm going to say it again because I think it's so important. Every single small business owner should have two main goals. The main goal should be one, to grow and start your email list, and two, any other platforms that you are showing up on, the goal should be to show up and serve and connect on those platforms and get people off of those platforms and onto your email list. And so those are the two main focuses that I think we need to have. And so then it's not so much of a game of like, which platform is going to work the best for my audience and like, where can I show up consistently to connect and engage and then get people off of those rented spaces of those platforms and onto my email list? And so that's a question that I think you should be asking. So I would also say that for so many entrepreneurs, when they're starting out, they get so overwhelmed because they feel like they need to be on all the platforms and showing up consistently on all of them. And my advice would be to start on one platform, double down, get really good and consistent, create some sort of system that you can follow so that you are showing up consistently. And then when you have mastered that, then expand to the other platforms. A lot of times people see people like me who I have a blog, I have a podcast, I have a LinkedIn, I have an Instagram, I have a Pinterest, I have a Facebook. I'm showing up everywhere, but I literally did it one by one. And that's what I would recommend. Tanya Kaboga Branding on Instagram asked, how do you balance a full-time business, kids, a household, being a wife, and more? Okay, so first off, I do not believe in balance. I think balance is a total myth. In fact, I remember when I was writing my book, I loved just digging into the meaning behind words. And when I looked into the meaning behind the word balance, balance is meant to be a moment in time, not a sustained state. And I think this is so important because so many of us are striving to be in balance, but I think it's a myth. And it's no wonder we feel like we're failing because it's not meant to be a maintained state. Balance is like something that is literally meant to be a moment in time. And so I think that I don't believe in balance. I also think it's so important to acknowledge that where I am at in this stage of life and in this season of business, I have so much support, right? My husband is a stay-at-home dad. I have an amazing team behind me. And so for me, balance is a lot easier than it is for the average person. And I'm not saying that from a point of pride. I'm saying that from a point of privilege to recognize like, wow, I am so lucky. What is normal for me might not be normal for everyone else. But what is interesting for me and how I've been able to find a semblance of balance is to really evaluate in each stage and season, not what is my purpose in life, but what is my purpose in this stage or season of life? And that has helped me really embrace slower seasons in business where I can be more hands-on as a mom, busier seasons of business where I need more support as a mom, and really leaning in with confidence. And I think that for me, trying to alleviate the mom guilt that is so real. Even this morning, Coco was like, Mommy, can you please bring me to school? And school drop off is Drew's thing. He loves it. He does it every single day. I do it 1 to 2 days a week. And I was like, babe, today I've got a full day going on. And so like mom guilt is so real because there's a part of me that wants to drop everything I'm doing to drive her to school, even though she just listens to an audiobook the whole way and doesn't even talk. But at the same point too, I'm showing her like, what does commitment look like? What does it really look like to run a business and to build this life? And so I've just been really trying to figure out like, what is this stage of life? Because it honestly does feel like a new stage for us. I feel like Coco's going to be 6, Quinn is going to be 3. I feel like in so many ways, we are getting out of the weeds of having really young children. We're sleeping more consistently. We're able to kind of pick up and go a lot faster. Like just life feels easier in a lot of ways. And this is encouragement for you if you feel like you are in the depths and the trenches of motherhood. And so for me, quote, balance right now is really finding ways to be 100% present when I'm with my kids and be all in with them, to be present when I'm with my business, and also to re-identify who am I outside of work and motherhood. And I feel like, you know, when I look at my journey, the last 8 years have been tied up in pregnancy and loss and breastfeeding and all of these different things. And so I just feel like I'm in a new stage of life for myself, but also in all the roles I play. So I don't do it beautifully. I don't always do it right. I have a lot of support. We eat a lot of air fryer food and life is good. And I think that's all we can do. Lee from the Goal Digger Podcast Insiders Facebook group asked, if you were launching a new business, would you have a blog on your website? Or do you think the way to go is only through social media channels, YouTube, Pinterest, etc.? Okay. I feel very strong about this one. I would strongly recommend having a blog for a million reasons. Long form content is huge. In fact, I am going to link to an episode I did at the beginning of this year, and I gave my marketing predictions for 2024, and I still stand by all of those predictions. Long form content was and is still one of my main predictions for where creators should be focusing and where the creator economy is going. So long form content is amazing because you are basically creating this library of resources and information that is more timeless than social media posts that live and die thanks to an algorithm. And so it's more evergreen content, meaning that somebody could land on your blog a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and consume that content and still find it beneficial. You also get amazing search engine optimization through blogging. You have the ability to have easy call to action. So you could have pop-ups on your website or blog. You could have footers. You could have additional links so that you can actually capture your reader a lot easier on a blog than you could on social media. And you are going to have so much more control over the user experience on any space that you own on the web. When you are investing all of your time, energy, and effort into platforms you don't own and you can't control, it is like building your dreams on borrowed space. And that is not a safe way to do it. I have seen so many people crash and burn because of it. And so I think a blog is amazing. And I have literally blogged since day one of my business. We still blog. In fact, just yesterday, I was looking at our blog traffic and what it's doing and how it's converting. And so it's still a massive focus in our business. And I would highly recommend having one. If you're a creative soul looking for a way to take your photography or event business to the next level without adding more hours to your schedule, you're going to love this inspiring story. Catalina was a wedding photographer working her tail off to make $1,000 for weeks of work. But when she added a photo booth to her business, everything changed. She started charging the same amount for just 3 hours of work. Since then, she scaled her business to 7 figures. Now, if you're thinking, that sounds like the dream, you need to check out this free masterclass from Photo Booth Supply Co. It's called Capture Success: How to Turn Your Creative Passion into a 6-Figure Photo Booth Business. Catalina is going to show you how you can take what you're already passionate about and turn it into a massive profit. You'll learn how you can earn $1,000 or more per event with a photo booth rental business. If you're someone who loves creating memories, or maybe you've been looking for a fun side hustle, you've got to check this out. Head to photoboothsupplyco.com/goaldigger to get your free access and my special promo code. This is your chance to work smarter, create more freedom, and build something truly amazing. That's photoboothsupplyco.com/goaldigger. Ganna Design on Instagram says, do you still paint? So if anyone here has read my book, How Are You Really? There's a whole chapter about painting. And it's interesting because I have not painted in a long time, minus painting with my kids. Back in the day when I was a wedding photographer, I was so burnt out. And my mother-in-law, who was an elementary art teacher, she has this amazing room in her basement, just filled with art supplies. She holds on to everything, and I love her for it because I have been able to receive so much from what she holds on to. And so when I was in this season of burnout, she got me all of these watercolor supplies, and I committed, I'm just going to sit down at my table for 20 minutes every day and just see what comes out of me. And I fell in love with painting, and I really enjoyed it. And then without planning it, my painting became a side hustle that slowly funded our mortgage. I started a watercolor print shop. I was putting my prints up on the internet. People were buying them. They were turning them into mugs and cell phone cases. And it was amazing. And I remember the first month, my prints made like $200. And then slowly it was like $1,200 and then $2,000. And it was amazing. It was at a very pivotal time in our life. We had just bought our own first house. It was the first time that I saw that I can do something once and sell it many times, which I think expanded my mindset on what is possible with a digital business. And so I have not painted in a long time. A few things that I want to do right now that I'm curious about and or inspired by that I want to start before the new year and then have on my New Year's resolutions are playing the piano consistently, painting again, and learning French again. I took French in high school and I was really good at it. And so I literally just downloaded an app the other day to teach me how to speak French again because I don't know, I'm just maybe I can get it back. So I do want to still paint. One thing that Drew and I have been doing when it comes to painting is paint by numbers. And so it seems like whenever we travel, we do a paint by numbers. So we have one up at our lake house. And then when we were in Arizona this winter, we had a paint by numbers and we would just keep it out on the table. Whenever the kids went to bed, whoever wanted to sit down and paint would do it. And it's very relaxing. So paint by numbers were kind of fun as well. Alligator on Instagram asked, if you had no business yet, but a deep desire for freedom from corporate, where would you start? So I know that feeling quite well. And even just reading your question, it just brings me back to those feelings of feeling suffocated and unsettled about the future. And I think that deep desire for freedom is what fuels so many entrepreneurs in such a beautiful way, is just freedom of time and money. But I think ultimately it's freedom of choice, having the ability to choose, what am I going to do today? Where am I going to work? What is this going to look like? And a lot of times with corporate, you don't have freedom of choice. So if I were to start over again and I didn't have anything that I have today, I would start a side hustle. So this is kind of what I did to get my business off the ground, is started a side hustle and gained experience to see what it takes to bring in money on your own and see what it takes to run a business. I think side hustles are amazing because they can take up as much or as little of time as you need. And they give you the ability to get experience without this huge risk, because you can still lean on your full-time gig. You still have safety and security with your salary. And so I would definitely look at starting a side hustle and seeing what is actually possible. And what was interesting to me is I ran my side hustle for a full year as a photographer while I worked my corporate job. And I only made the leap of faith when I had booked enough work to match my corporate salary. And I knew like, if I can book this level of work while working a full-time job, what's going to happen when I can go all in with my time and energy? And that was really what started it. So I would definitely start a side hustle, be curious, start learning the grounds and the ropes of business, put in as little or as much time as you want. I will say that the more time and energy you put into it, the more you're likely to get out of it, but you're going to learn and you're going to grow in your confidence so that if and when you're ready to take the leap out of corporate, you know that you can make it. Okay, Kind Organizing on Instagram asked, are there certain health and wellness routines you feel are helping with your ADHD? So this is super interesting. So I've gotten so many questions about just like where I'm at with my health. What is my routine now? What is the wellness looking like? So one of the things I think is so interesting just to start with is that I used to hate routines. I would feel so stifled by something that felt certain. Like I remember when I brought Marissa, who's now like the VP of my company, onto my team nearly 6 years ago, she was like asking me about like structure and systems and routines. And like, I hated anything like that because I have always operated out of this mood of like, well, I don't know if I'm actually going to want to do that when the time comes. So I don't want to say I'm going to do it if I don't know if I'm going to do it, which is a really interesting thing. And I think it's common and prevalent with people with ADHD because you just know your energy changes, your mood changes, all of that. So I used to hate routine and now I love it and I crave it. And so much of my health and wellness habits are now just a part of my daily routine. So I'm going to run through them, and let me just preface this and say I am not a healthcare professional. I understand that my routines are likely unrelatable, but I want to share what I'm really doing because I think that that's what you're curious about. And so I want to just walk you through it. So a few things that I do. So when Drew leaves, he tries to get out the door by 8 a.m. every day. It's usually 8:05 a.m. to bring Coco to school. Quinny goes in the car with them. So I load them all up. I wave them off. They honk the horn as they drive away. And that is when my day starts. So I feel like from the minute I get up until that moment in time, I am all in on the kids, making breakfast, getting them dressed, doing their hair, all of those things. Like Drew and I are just like this well-oiled machine of like getting everybody out the door. But once they leave, that is when my routine starts. So every morning I go and lay down on my PEMF mat and do red light. And I rig it because I like to habit stack. So I lay on my side with my red light on its side. And I do 10 minutes of red light on each side of my body and lay on my mat. A lot of times I will meditate, I will listen to music, or sometimes I will like literally use that time to catch up on emails or create content or check in on Slack. I try to use it as a more mindful time, but that has been just like 20 minutes where I ease into my day. So I like to be working between 8:30 and 9, and I always do this before I really dive into work. Movement has been super helpful for breaking up my day. I was just looking yesterday on our Peloton treadmill. I have literally walked on that treadmill every single day for the last month, except for 2 days. And one of them I wasn't home, and the other day I was out with the kids. And so every single day I move for at least 30 minutes. My favorite workout to do on our treadmill is the 12-3-30, which is an incline of 12. I now do 3.5 miles per hour and I walk for 30 minutes. This is usually, I do one of two things. If I have a lot of work to do, I'll slow down the pace and I will stay on the treadmill longer and I'll do reviews, I'll read documents, I'll go through email. But if I have enough time to just like disconnect for 30 minutes, I will watch a trashy TV show. Right now, my trashy TV show choice is Married at First Sight. So that's like the 30 minutes of TV that I get in and I just watch it while I'm walking on the treadmill. I've also been incorporating like weightlifting in, and I love Melissa Wood Health's app. And so it's interesting because I've really been paying attention more to my cycle and how that impacts my energy. And so like last week, I was like lifting heavy weights and just feeling like super energized in that way. This week, I'm feeling like a little bit slower, gentle movement would feel better on my body. So I've just been trying to pay attention. I also do my afternoon sauna and cold plunge. So I will work from about 9 to 1. And then I eat my lunch and I do 20 minutes in the sauna, 30 minutes in the cold plunge, and then I get back to work. And usually when I'm in the sauna and cold plunge, I'm either creating content or I'm listening to a podcast or I'm voice memoing people. So I'm still using that time as work time, but it helps my energy so much. I know a lot of people do not have a sauna and a cold plunge at their disposal, but even like a cold shower or like splashing cold water on your face just to get the energy moving again. We also got one of those teeny little trampolines. And if I just jump on it for a few minutes, it like gets my body moving again. Cause I used to get the afternoon slumps so bad. And I've also found that when I eat really carb dense lunches, I get exhausted. So I've just really been prioritizing protein. So like yesterday, I had 2 pieces of chicken, half of a burger patty, and some sweet potato fries and some cucumber for my lunch, and just really prioritizing protein over carbs for lunch. And then for my nighttime routine, Drew and I were laughing last night because we're like, we are so crazy about our sleep. We're so crazy about it. So I shared this in an earlier episode, but this has been helping, not even just with my ADHD, but just in helping my brain pivot better, is when I put the kids to bed at like 7:30, after they are in bed, I actually go and set up our bedroom for bedtime. And I feel like it kind of helps me get out of mom mode and back into like my own energy and like more like wife mode. I have a really hard time like feeling romantic or like excited when I'm like just all in on the kids. And so once they go to bed, I like go in, I close all of our curtains, I turn on our white noise, I pull off the throw pillows, I turn down our sheets. I just get everything set up for a really nice night of sleep. And like we even like diffuse oils in our bedroom and have a humidifier, and like we have just gotten really intense about how well we sleep. And so I do that at 7:00. I'll wash my face. I'll just like start to get ready to like relax. And I feel like it helps me like get out of like the work energy, motherhood energy into like a relaxation. One random health thing that I've been doing that I am obsessed with, and it's so funny, is mouth taping. I don't know if anyone has heard of mouth taping. So I learned about it on podcasts forever ago. And essentially you literally tape your mouth shut when you are sleeping so that you are forced to breathe through your nose. And a year ago, I did an MRI, like a full body scan. And one of the things that they found is that I have a cyst behind my sinus. And I've never known that. And it's just interesting. And I need to go take care of that. But I tried mouth taping once and I like panicked that I couldn't breathe through my nose. And I think I was just thinking about that cyst and like I was really nervous. And so I like ripped it off right away. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try again, because people swear by it. You're supposed to sleep a lot better. You get deeper sleep. It's supposed to help with your jawline, like all these different things. And ever since I did Invisalign, when I wear my retainers at night, it is hard for me to close my mouth fully. And so I wake up like 10 times a night with like the driest mouth ever. And I hate that feeling. So I recently started mouth taping again. And basically, I'll put the tape on my mouth right before I'm about to fall asleep. So I read my Kindle every night. I do my red light face mask. And typically by the time the red light mask turns off, I'm already like almost falling asleep. And so then I put it on and I really just focus on deep rhythmic breathing through my nose. And I swear to you, I have been sleeping so much better. The only downfall, and I was telling my friend about this today, is that if my kids wake up in the middle of the night, which they do, I like have tape on my mouth, so I can't talk. So then I'm like ripping the tape off to talk to them. So like last night, Coco came into our room and I lifted her into our bed and I was just like, and she was just kind of laughing at me because she knows what I'm doing. But I'm a big fan of mouth taping and I'm really surprised by it. So I'll report back if I'm still doing it a month from now, but so far so good. So I guess this is a very long-winded answer of certain health and wellness routines to help with my ADHD. So I would say creating routines that you actually enjoy, figuring out ways to get in like sunlight, grounding, movement to help your brain transition through the different roles of your day, and then setting up a beautiful nighttime routine to get really good sleep, because that helps. Okay. The last question I have here is from Chastity K, and it says, for someone getting into affiliate marketing, what is the one tool I must have? I love it. I love affiliate marketing. I was just talking to our accountants. We were just talking about the importance of affiliate marketing in my business. I love it. The one tool I would say that you should get if you are getting into affiliate marketing is a project management system. We love one called Monday.com. It's beautiful. It's so funny. Whenever I show people Monday, they're like, it's so much prettier than the other ones out there. But the reason why I would get Monday.com is that you can organize. So like we have a whole affiliate section on our project management software where we save all the links, all the codes, all the contact info, how to log in, all the different things in one place. And then we can plan out different campaigns, timing, assign different things, graphics. So like having a hub where you can organize things, because when you do affiliate marketing, and if you're an affiliate for 5 or 10 products, they all have different portals. They all have different systems. And so having a place where you treat it like a business and you have it organized, that's where I would invest. So the one tool, if you want to check out how we use Monday.com, you can go to JennaLovesMonday.com. It is my ride or die. It is a tab I always have open on my computer. It has been such a game changer for us. All right, guys, that is a wrap. What a fun episode. Thank you so much to everyone who asked a question, both on Instagram and Facebook. Do not forget to hop onto Instagram, follow us at Goal Digger Podcast, or jump into our Facebook community. We are 65,000 listeners strong. I love that community. I love watching how you guys engage, collaborate, and just help each other out. And make sure you're a part of those communities so that the next time we do an Ask Me Anything, you can ask your question and I can answer it. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the podcast and going on this journey with me. Of course, until next time, goal diggers, keep on digging your biggest goals. Thanks for pulling up a seat for another episode of the Goal Digger Podcast. I hope today's episode fueled you with inspiration, gave you information that you can turn into action, and realigned you with your true north in life and business. If you've enjoyed today's episode, head on over to goaldiggerpodcast.com for today's show notes, discount codes for our sponsors, freebies to fuel your results, and so much more. And if you haven't yet, make sure you're subscribed so that you never miss a future show. We'll see you next time, Goal Diggers.